And good morning, everyone. I'm Josh Elliott. We are waiting now to hear new details from law enforcement officials at Joint Base Andrews after a major communication failure triggered a lockdown at the Maryland base. Reports of an active shooter just after 9 a.m. Eastern caused the base to be locked down for roughly an hour, though it was later discovered that an active shooter drill had been scheduled, but it appears, frankly, that not everyone got the email. The drill was then mistaken for a real emergency. Our Kris van Cleave now is at Joint Base Andrews on the scene. And Kris, confusion certainly did reign. What's the latest?
Well, Josh, at this point, the Greater Joint Base Andrews has been given the all clear with the exception of the medical center, which is back behind me here. We understand that by policy, there are police and dogs in that building sweeping door to door, room by room, just to be sure that there's no threat. But the belief is that what happened here was somebody apparently didn't get the email or get notification that there was an active shooter drill here, saw somebody that appeared to have a gun, and called it in. So on one hand, you tell people you drill, see something, say something, see something, say something into people's minds, and that's what happened here, is they saw something and then they said something, and the result was it locked down Joint Base Andrews. It is highly likely that what they saw was just part of this active shooter exercise. We know Joint Base Andrews had notified the surrounding police and fire departments that they were going to be doing this, but once this report came in, one police source I talked to described it as there was just so much confusion, they didn't know what was going on. So you had a really just unclear situation at Joint Base Andrews, and Andrews is where the presidential aircraft are kept. Vice President Biden has a flight out of here later today, so there's a lot of sensitivity when you get a report about an active shooter or a possible active shooter on this facility. It's not the first time we've had a report of these in the D.C. area. You know, a couple of years ago we had the mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard, which is a military facility. Several months ago we had a similar false alarm at Walter Reed. Both of those prompted a huge police response. This one, you saw a response on the base grounds itself, but outside, this is the road that right outside of the base, right outside of the hospital. It's been open the entire time that this base was on lockdown. So, you know, I think there was some sense that this might be a drill, but people, you know, you can't take that for granted until you've cleared the hospital, which is what's happening now. But beyond the hospital itself, the rest of Joint Base Andrews has been given the all clear, and things are going back to situation normal. We understand the active shooter training exercise will likely continue.
And Kris, it does bear mentioning, however, with regard to the idea of see something, say something, which is certainly ruling the day, given the global context here, it is not necessarily see something and tweet something. Certainly the role of social media, and specifically the official Twitter account of Joint Base Andrews, which sent not one but multiple tweets confirming an active shooter situation on the base, certainly came into play here.
Well, but I think that part of the use of the official Twitter accounts is to push information out to people on the base and their families. And, you know, there was a report of an active shooter. So you've got to treat that as though there is that situation in place, that people need to shelter in place or get to whatever lockdown center they're supposed to be in. And one of the ways that people get that information is from Twitter. I mean, I very quickly set the Joint Base Andrews Twitter account up to notifications so that I would get a text every time they tweeted. It's wouldn't be surprising if people inside the fences have the same thing. Mm-hmm. So you do walk that line between how do you take the abundance of caution and not also cause a panic. But here I think that there was a report of an active shooter, and the way that the military has handled this via Twitter in the past with both the Navy Yard and the Walter Reed incident was to push out there's a report of an active shooter, shelter in place, and to continue to push out updates by Twitter.
Again, Kris van Cleave on the scene for us. We do know officials are set to deliver remarks with regard to the situation there at Joint Base Andrews shortly. I know you'll be on that as well and joining us throughout the day here at CBS. And Kris van Cleave, we appreciate the insights at present.